No phones for staffs in Aussie supermarkets? Here's why. Ever wondered why your friendly Coles or Woolies checkout cashier gives you that, not even a finger swipe, for checking your phone during a break? Today I'm diving into the curious world of phone bans in Aussie supermarkets, why they exist, how strict they really are, and what that means for both staff and shoppers. Spoiler alert. There's more drama behind the scenes than you might think, and it involves secret cameras, late-night stalking shifts, and yes, that dreaded no headphones rule. Stick around, we're unpacking it all. Walking into a supermarket in Australia, be it Coles, Woolworths, or one of their cousins, you're greeted by bright lights, cheerful music, and usually a steady flow of people. But behind the shelves and tills lurks another kind of watchful eye, and a set of rules that might surprise you: the no phones policy for staff. Sounds strict, and it is, but for good reasons. Let's take a stroll behind the scenes. You start your shift, uniform crisp, trolley clicks behind you. Even before the store opens, a manager might remind everyone, phones off the sales floor. That means no texting, no scrolling, no cheeky TikTok in your pocket. Some strict managers don't even let phones peek out from your bag or pocket during stocking shifts. Why the big fuss? For one's safety. Picture someone texting while unloading heavy crates or balancing on a ladder. They could drop a box or themselves. Plus, supermarkets are full of hazardous equipment. Slicers, ovens, forklifts. Distractions here aren't funny, they're dangerous. And when you're supposed to watch for skidding spills or upset customers, a quick game of Candy Crush can wait. But there's another side. Productivity. Employers pay for every second you're clocked in. Someone spends 5 minutes checking social media instead of helping customers or stacking shelves. That's unpaid downtime they paid for. Multiply that across dozens of employees and weeks, and that's noticeable loss. Finally, there's the morale factor. One staffer on Reddit said Coles head office told employees they were monitoring CCTV for phone use. A paid commenter said, "They treat all staff like children, and they're not wrong. Blanket bans are blunt instruments." That same Redditor recalled stores where managers told employees, "No phones after 7 a.m. even in closed stores." Overkill? Definitely. But they argued it removes excuses. Everyone's on the same rule, no special cases. So it's not simple. Another former store worker on our AUS Legal shared that in their experience, Coles rules were often ignored. Phones came out for quick chats, managing teams' messages, or emergency calls. Managers would sniff out blatant misuse, but a quick check of Teams, a photo of stock damage, or accessing product info for customers, that was tolerated, even necessary. Coles actually trialed a bring-your-own-device approach for managers a decade ago, equipping them with phones or tablets so they could scan inventory, check sales trends, and be on the floor more, not behind a desk. But that pilot was for official work-related phone use. Personal usage? Nope, not permitted. Woolworths, on the other hand, isn't as open about phone policies, but they've embraced internal chat systems like Microsoft Teams, even for in-store staff. That's practical, but it creates tension. If you must receive store updates on your phone, why ban personal checks? It's a balancing act. Productivity versus flexibility. Now let's talk about the no headphones rule. Headphones hide audio, isolate staff from store noise, and hide whether someone's actually working. Managers worry about customer experience. Customers might walk up and get ignored. Some Reddit users explained that headsets were okay if they help with stock work, but earbuds and music were not. There's also the threat of disciplinary action. Australian workplace law confirms that firms can enforce phone bans, as long as they're clearly communicated and consistently applied. In fact, a forklift operator got fired for 2 phone violations within 2 hours on a zero-tolerance policy. The FWC backed the firm since warnings were clear. But in another case, a meat processor got dismissed for using a phone in a freezer room, only to have the dismissal ruled unfair because the policy wasn't well communicated. So yes, policies exist and they can cost people their jobs. But only if they're enforced consistently. Okay, you might wonder, is this really necessary? Critics think phones can be useful. One Reddit post pointed out employees use phones access apps for prices, check inventory, or call maintenance. Another staffer said they keep their phone in case of family emergencies, especially on overnight shifts when store phones aren't easily reached. That seems reasonable, right? Still, some folks vent that blanket bans are infantilizing. But retail managers worry about the 1% who scroll all shift, ignore customers, or play music loudly. That few spoil it for the rest. What about customers? Some say phone bans are fair. You're at work, be at work. Others find it ridiculous. Kohl's managers watching cameras just to catch us checking our phones. A sentiment shared often. Body cameras are now being trialed at Kohl's and Woolies to deal with violent or abusive customers. Staff can activate them if threatened. These are surveillance tools and they feed into the phone policing culture. Those cameras aren't just for thieves or angry shoppers, they also record employee behavior. Some employees say they feel watched, timed, even disciplined based on footage. There's a fine line between safety surveillance and micromanagement. It's worth noting that the quiet hour policy in Kohl's and Woolies, where lights dim, music lowers, no announcements, shows that these companies do use atmosphere control to improve customer experience. Perhaps phone rules are just another layer of control for both safety and service quality. Now, should worker phones be allowed in more flexible ways? Many suggest balancing policy. Let phones be accessible but silent. Allow emergencies, allow work calls but no games or music. Let store managers set zones. Back room and locker for personal calls. Shop floor must be phone-free. That approach is respectful and more sustainable in the long run. So how does this all wrap up? Phone rules in Australian supermarkets exist for safety, productivity, brand image, and control. They're enforced via signs, staff manuals, cameras, even body cams. Infractions can lead to warnings or dismissal. But enforcement is uneven. Some managers are chill, some are hawkish. Employees cope by hiding phones, using watch apps, or keeping phones but discreetly. At the end of the day, you're dealing with big businesses balancing cost, image, and control. But the real effect is on worker morale. If employees feel trusted, allowed to use phones reasonably, they feel respected. If they're watched all the time, trust erodes. Maybe it's time for supermarkets to revisit their approach. Allow phones for emergencies, app-based work needs, or quick rest busts. Ban games and music. Train managers to use policies fairly, not punitively. And communicate clearly. That's the reality behind the no phone sign at Kohl's and Woolies. It isn't just a rule, it's part of a wider conversation about technology, trust, work-life balance, and surveillance in modern retail. Conclusion and call to action. Let me know in the comments. What's your experience? Have you been caught checking a message? Or seen someone banned from using a store app? If you're a retail worker, tell us how you'd tweak your store's phone policy. If you're a shopper, do phone bans affect how you perceive staff? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. I've got more insider dives lined up into how mega brands manage workers behind the scenes. Thanks for watching and stay phone healthy.